Have you ever played golf at night and at the end, all of a sudden the sun goes down and it's getting darker and darker, but you want to finish? So you're hitting that ball, you're trying to reach the green, but you have no clue where the hole is. That is exactly how a lot of B2B marketers feel, especially when they have a long sales cycle. After a while, they feel like they're just hitting the ball into the dark. This is why I'm excited about my guest today. Today, I have Lori Turner Wilson. She is the author of the B2B Marketing Revolution. She is the CEO of RedRover Marketing, and she's going to give us some insights on how industrial brands, executive education programs, events, anyone with that long sales cycle can start to have confidence that they're not just hitting that ball into the dark. They have a target and direct path to success. After today's show, you're going to have clarity on what you can do in your next campaign so that we're not going to be hitting into the dark. Good morning, Lori. How are you today?
I'm great, Donna. Thanks for inviting me. I've been looking forward to having this chat with a fellow marketer at heart.
I love sitting down with people that totally understand the value of quality marketing.
It's an apt analogy, the shooting in the dark analogy, because in marketing, we tend to look at marketing as this nebulous investment that doesn't have any predictability around it. Marketing is art and science. They're
Yes.
incredibly great in innovating and developing breakthrough content, but there's a data science behind marketing as well.
You're absolutely right. And when I'm talking to a lot of these industrial brands or executive education, whoever it is, really, they're heavily sales focused.
Even if sales is leading, which it does for a lot of B2B services, especially in the industrial space, marketing should play a really critical role. If marketing's doing its role, by the time someone gets to sales can be so hyper focused in every conversation, really personalizing the value that they're bringing to that relationship. Marketing doesn't replace sales in this instance. It makes it more effective. It makes it more cost affordable. It makes your sales team more successful in their roles.
Before we jump in, your host is Donna Peterson, and you are listening to the B2B Marketing Excellence and AI podcast. We come to you every week with actionable tips and suggestions that can help you be more efficient, create better marketing plans, and be a salesperson that really closes those leads.
You were talking about the company who decided to offer a different product line. When a company goes to do this, how do they decide to now start to invest in this new vertical?
I would never do that without conducting my due diligence and my market research. And it's interesting how we do our due diligence into every major investment anywhere else in our company. If we're going to buy a $100,000 piece of equipment for the shop floor, we're doing our due diligence to make sure that's a sound investment and not a $100,000 paperweight at the end of the day. But with marketing, we don't look at it that way. And Donna, when I formed this agency, it's been almost 20 years. Can't believe that. Almost 20 years ago, market
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. But market research was a lot more expensive, right? But
Yes.
today, it allowed the big boys to remain the big boys. But today, market research, the cost had come down so significantly. If you hire it out, you can also do it internally and DIY it. But
Yeah.
market research is now so accessible to small and mid-sized companies because of advancements in AI and machine learning and data analytics tools and all of those things make it really cost feasible. But market research, and there's a whole chapter in my book dedicated to how to do this independently if that's the path that you want to go down. Market research gives you it validates or invalidates an assumption that I should move into a new vertical or offer a new product. It prevents you from having all of that time and resource waste that you inevitably have when you go to market without those insights and without that clarity. I think that's where you start. You have to have some realistic expectations. This story always comes to mind when I'm talking about ROI and marketing. There's a client where we were generating a 10-to-1 ROI, which by the way is unusual, rarely
Yeah.
happens, but this was a high transaction value business, and they were very well known in the vertical that they were in, but
Mhm.
they were only known in that vertical.
Okay.
So they wanted to go into a new vertical and they hired us to do this research process, and it clearly the research pointed us in the direction of a vertical that was primed for them to move into. But our projection was they would only earn a 2-to-1 ROI. And you can imagine what goes through the minds of the leadership team when they're getting 10-to-1. And now you're offering 2-to-1. Why would I do that?
I don't see that. I'm not doing it.
But as a marketer, I know you get this, that it costs a lot more to build awareness in a market that knows nothing about you
Yeah.
or your value proposition. You have to put a lot more advertising in front of them to get them to consider having a conversation with your sales team. And that comes at a higher cost. Over time, that ROI gets better and better, but it takes years to do that. And by the way, anytime we're generating or a client is generating a 10-to-1 or more ROI, I'm asking, how much 5-to-1 business are you leaving on the table? 4-to-1 business, 2-to-1. I take the 2-to-1 business all day if I had the cash to support it.
Right.
So research and walking in with the right expectations, I think that's a big part of how you make a smart move into a new vertical or into a new product line.
That's great advice. And for all the listeners, remember her book is The B2B Marketing Revolution. And she mentioned you could go in there and start doing your own research on whether you're going into the right areas or if there's another vertical you can do. The other thing is, as I go around training people on leveraging AI, and one of them that I've liked lately is you set up a GPT of your board of directors. And you could put anyone you want. So I have one where it's Warren Buffett, Tony Robbins, Gary Vee, and a few other people in there. I can put a suggestion like, do you think World Innovators should be doing this? And I get viewpoints back from these individuals. And it's just a fun way to think about it. But like you said, 2-to-1, a lot of people would jump in and say, yeah, I'll give you $100 if I'm going to get 200 back.
All day long.
It doesn't always have to be 10-to-1, 2-to-1. Let's not be greedy. Let's just go with that. And some of the companies I work with, I know they would be happy with 2-to-1.
Well, and it really does vary by industry.
Yes.
So in some industries, $1.50 to 1 is a win all day long. And in other industries, 5-to-1, 6-to-1 is average. So it's not just the industry too, it's what is your position in the market? How well known are you in that market? Because as I said, it costs a lot more when you aren't a known quantity.
A lot of the industrial brands, they're dealing with supply chain tariffs. They are constantly having to educate themselves and to figure out, do we need to shift? Do we need to go into another area?
One of the risk mitigation techniques that I really encourage B2B companies, industrial companies in particular, to look at is, do you have too much client concentration risk in a single vertical that if that vertical's down, your entire business is down? And so I encourage them to look for counter cyclical verticals, right? That where when the economy may be down in our primary vertical, it's up in our other. And if you were in the automotive space predominantly, you might want to also get into renewable energy because when one is up, the other's down. And at least you're maintaining business. It can at least that trend line of growth continues to go up so that when you get to the point of transaction or an exit, your company is valued as it should be.
Yeah. The old adage, don't put all your eggs in one basket.
Too scary, too risky, for sure.
Too risky. World Innovators, we're going to be celebrating 45 years. And when my mom started the company, it was a mailing list company. And we worked with a lot of seminar companies. It was repeat business. But when 9/11 happened, it all shifted. And we were very lucky to be in other verticals because people weren't traveling. People weren't going to seminars. Our other verticals helped us survive through that time. And that's why I know firsthand, you've got to diversify.
Well, congratulations on 45 years. That's one hell of a milestone right there. And it's no doubt because you have thought about your business strategically and mitigated risk along the way. And that's really exciting.
We started as a mailing list company. If we didn't shift at that point, we wouldn't be here today. Our focus is a lot on the list side, which some people say, what does that mean? What kind of list do you have? It's a whole industry that people don't realize is out there. I'm starting to see the shift in marketing going back to some of those traditional marketing channels. I have more clients starting to do postal campaigns and complementing it with the email. And that was the whole main thrust of our business right at the beginning. And it's funny, everything always goes in cycles and comes back again.
I think it's important that you are where your competition isn't.
Yeah.
You want to break through in whatever meaningful way you can. And sometimes marketing channel is that. And we too are executing direct mail campaigns for a number of our clients who have predominantly sales plays. Marketing is in a
Yeah.
supporting role. You can send when a client can tactile feel
Yeah.
a three-dimensional piece that is
Oh,
really beautifully put together. Those just almost don't exist anymore. And not
yeah.
just an oversized postcard, but something really
Yeah.
beautiful and stunning that breaks through today in a way that email doesn't because email's getting lost in the noise. So always look for where your customers are, but your competitors aren't.
You're absolutely right. And boy, you were just singing to the choir just then because I talk about that. You get a piece in your hand that's a top quality piece.
Yeah.
That adds so much validity to your company. One, people understand the expense of sending a postal campaign. They know you're not just renting a list and sending out an email for pennies. They know you are investing in this and making it work. And you're in this industry for a long time, for the long haul.
And the more you can personalize that, and
Oh,
I know you're a fan of that, I'm sure, but the more you can personalize, the better. I usually recommend that for the top tier of prospects you're going after. Everything's hyper
yeah,
personalized. Every direct mail campaign is specifically messaged and about that company. And the more personalized it is, you start to evoke the law of reciprocity, where
yeah,
the prospect feels so compelled to take that salesperson's call because there's been such an investment in partnering with them that they take the call, they're more receptive when they do, they're more likely to close, the sales cycle's likely shorter. Direct mail and those personal touches can play a role in that.
yeah. I don't know if you noticed, I just did two interviews. It went so long, we had to separate into two parts. It was Patrick McCullough, who is the president of Hallmark Business Connections. They can send personalized greeting cards. So it comes in their gold envelope with the Hallmark stamp. It has an automated script on there. They can send it out to your customers. They send it out to employees. It's their birthday, their anniversary. He even talked about a story about someone that they knew who lost their dog, passed away.
Yeah.
And through that, the person called up and said, it really meant a lot that you sent this note.
Lasting impression. Yeah.
It is, it's a lasting impression, but it's also that thank you sometimes with no other strings attached. And people value that. It brings us back to humanizing. We talk about it all the time about humanizing those B2B brands.
Yeah.
What better way to humanize it when you send those cards to say thank you?
I'd rather see I'd rather see a sales and marketing team identify 25 prospects that they're going to go all in and hyper personalized
Yeah.
targeting and invest in understanding that business and their pain and the problems they can solve for them than going after 1,000 prospects in the same generic way. You're going to break through and have a much higher revenue number when it is hyper personalized. We're in an era
Yeah.
of mass everything, mass
Yes.
communication, mass sales techniques, and one to one really matters today.
I think one to one's going to be the only way you can survive because just like you, I get plummeted on LinkedIn with sales messages. I get plummeted on email. I'm now getting text messages left and right. And after a while, I'm even sick of it and I'm in marketing. But it's the people who take the time. When we're doing lists for our clients, we go only to industry specific sources. So we go to Laboratory Equipment Magazine or we go to Power Magazine, very specific niche publications so that we can whittle it down. But the publishers have already done the due diligence of knowing the individuals in there that maybe they are interested in purchasing equipment within the next 6 months. And to your comment, that's exactly what we do. We take all that information so we can create those personalized messages so that when the person gets it, they're like, oh my goodness, they know exactly what I.
It's going to be meaningful to them today.
Yeah. And the people who tell me email's dead, I just sit there going, email's only dead if you're not doing it properly because when you align with some of these publishers, they get get delivered. People open it up because they want to see what else this company has to offer because they subscribe to it. I do agree that people need to take the time and do the research, which I believe falls into your 12 battle framework that you have in your book, correct?
That's right. That the 12 battles framework is the 12 steps in the playbook that we use to execute results guaranteed marketing for our This playbook gives your listeners everything that they need to do this independently. I've spent 20 years, like 19, I guess, 19 and a half years building this framework. It's the framework that I used to use in enterprise marketing back when I was in the Fortune 500 space. And it's how I created predictability in my outcomes. And
Ah,
the essential points to this are, number one, it's called the 12 battles framework because there are 12 battles in mindset when it comes to marketing that every senior leader and marketing leader needs to overcome, needs to win in order to achieve true predictability in their marketing. And some of the core tenets of it are you need to heavily market research your marketing
yes.
investment to ensure that it pays off. You need an exhaustive strategy setting and vetting process. And too often we put one person in a room and say, create my marketing strategy, but you need a team of specialists around the table with you, each deeply specialized within their marketing discipline, coming together
Yeah.
to collaborate on that strategy. And then there's a thorough vetting process for every strategy to ensure that it's going to deliver ROI. And all the entire playbook is in the book. And then one of the third most important tenets is optimization. We tend to throw a strategy out and it either is successful or it's not. And if it's not, we kill it. We
Mhm.
miss all the gray in the middle, which is optimization. What is every conceivable variable within every strategy we're executing that we could be split testing week
Yes.
after week? And we don't do that. We don't put in the hard work into marketing that we do in sales and other areas of the company. And this framework will give your listeners the playbook they need to create true predictability in their marketing outcomes, which is what they deserve.
Yes, they do deserve it and they have to understand it because I agree with you. I think the pressure comes sometimes with top management where get the marketing messages out, get the marketing messages out. Okay, how many sales did we get from like the accountability is so severe to marketing sometimes. I think it traps them because they don't want to do an A/B split because they've got to show such a great return on investment quickly.
It's an unfair expectation. The throw it against the wall, throw the spaghetti against the wall and pray that it sticks
Yeah.
philosophy of marketing isn't effective. And so my advice is to have your listeners who are executing marketing have their leaders read this book because this book
Yes.
is really targeted to CEOs and founders and presidents that need to make mindset shifts in order to lead a team of marketers that can create predictability. And it's supporting that team with the dollars to invest in market research to make sure that they can create that predictability. We track the percentage of marketing investment on the plan that we inherited that's wasted due to lack of sufficient market research. So
Okay.
either their internal team or their prior agency created it. And when we execute our market research protocol, we can determine that at about 60% of most of these plans, it's wasted investment in channels and strategies that are not paying off. And in the early days, we used to test that philosophy by turning off the spend to those 60% of channels, waiting more than the length of the sales cycle to see if there was any impact. And by and large, no impact whatsoever.
So
So
basically, you're telling people if they used your services, the money you save them would more than pay for your services, plus help them to succeed in finding that nice target audience.
and not just selfishly my services, if they hire any market research
Yeah.
firm, if they're making that investment, it usually pays off 7 to 10 times in just the reduction of waste alone, not even including the improved outcomes at the end of the day. It's unfair to hold marketers to outcomes when we aren't willing to invest in the proper way of doing this and stop cutting corners and look at marketing as an investment like any other that deserves our due diligence and our patience.
How do we stay true to our roots as we're trying to go out to reach these new buyers? Because how people buy now is totally different than how they were buying 20 years ago.
It's a really relevant point because if you're not already focused on your next generation of buyer, you're risking brand irrelevancy. So we've really got to talk about who's next. And segmentation is the way to stay true to your roots while also communicating with a brand new target market. everything, almost every marketing channel can be segmented. The content can be personalized. You can even have your website, you can create landing pages for your different audiences that may need different messages and different priorities in the way you talk about your products and services, but customized landing pages for those particular ideal customer profiles, those unique buyer segments, buyer personas, as we call them. But creating one for each of those buyer personas, then making sure that your advertising campaigns are targeted by age demographic and driving them into those landing pages that are customized. Emails can be segmented based on age. Your digital ad campaigns can be. We tend to still think about marketing today as one size fits all. To your
Yes.
point earlier, I barely have enough time to get it out. I don't have enough time for segmentation. You don't have,
You
you're
can't afford not to.
you're wasting your
Yeah.
investment if you're not doing that. So every company probably has somewhere between 2 and 6 buyer personas they need to be targeting, and all of their content needs to be hyper personalized to those buyers.
I totally agree. And we even saw that in house. Simple thing is every week we send out a podcast announcement. And we started with just one generic email, episode is live, blah, blah, blah. What we did is we then sat back and said, wait a minute, let's set this by our different, like, you're an industrial brand, you're an executive education, you're putting on events, change up the email. And it's amazing how when you take the time to do that, and when you start to look at what should the subject line be, they're of this age, their events are $50,000. How you word things to those individuals different than if I'm trying to reach a CEO of a manufacturing company. And those little tweaks, like the subject lines aren't going to be like, oh my God, they're radically different, but the little tweaks resonate with that audience. So you do see an increase in the open rate. You do see more people clicking to, for us, clicking to watch the episode. And now that we have that mindset, like you said, it takes a lot of time up front. But once you get into the routine of doing it, I think people will see it goes a lot faster than they thought. And the results are so much higher. I want to ask you just one more quick question. As a industrial brand, it's hard for these manufacturers right now. What do you think is the best thing for them to do to build a relationship with an individual instead of just selling them a product?
It depends on the industrial vertical they're in specifically, what
Okay.
segment they're in. But a way that you can leverage marketing to give back and grow the relationship is through authority marketing. You tend to think of authority marketing in maybe just the professional services space, but it doesn't necessarily just belong there. So here's my definition of it. Everyone's a little different. My definition is authority marketing is where you are generating volumes of high quality
Mhm.
content that you are putting out into the marketplace. It's hyper focused on the pains and the challenges that your unique target is facing. You aren't asking for anything. You're giving. You're not expecting to
Yeah.
get anything. It's a way to build trust and credibility. It's a way to invest in your prospect and client relationships in a way that doesn't have a call to action or an ask behind it.
Yes.
It's got a long tail to it, but it will pay off. They will find you. They will want to do business with you. You won't have to ask. They will ask you.
Totally agree. I say that all the time. Give, the
Yeah.
sales will come. When I first came in the industry, what was that, over 30 years ago? It was all about sales, sales, sales. And then I woke up and I'm like, oh no, it's all about giving. You've got to give. And when you give, people start to see you out there. And I was recently at a sales meeting and I said to them, you should have some kind of video. You should have a podcast, just getting the information, because they're talking about tariffs. And that area is changing all the time. I said, start getting videos out there because you're just educating your customers or prospects on the tariffs, but it's in your voice and they're seeing you as a brand, showing you're trying to help them out.
They have to hear your passion too and your originality. And if you sound like everybody else, it's not going to break through. Don't have AI write this message. To your point, it needs to come from the heart. It needs to be
Yes.
authentically you as a company leader because they're going to be able to feel that and they're going to want to be a part of that authenticity.
And that's what I think these podcasts or videos can do, because they see the real us, the voices. Lori, I want to thank you so much for your time. I love talking to someone who is as passionate about marketing as I am. I think my listeners out there, go check out Lori's book, The B2B Marketing Revolution. Like she said, she has some great framework in there that you all can start to utilize yourself. Or if you want help, reach out to Lori. I'll put all the information in the show notes. But Lori, thank you so much for your time today.
My pleasure. Thanks for the invitation. It's been fun.
You're welcome. Have a great day.
Thanks for listening to the World Innovators B2B Marketing Excellence and AI podcast. If you'd like to be updated when new episodes come out, don't forget to subscribe. Also, check out our social media accounts to stay up to date on B2B marketing trends.